Well, here we are at the Alumni Hall in Cushing, Oklahoma, and I'm sitting here with Margie Testerman, who is not only an alumni, but has quite a colorful life. And I've invited Margie down to join us, and we're going to talk about the life of Margie Testerman and the things that you've done. And Margie, what I want to start out with is to talk about the days of you growing up around Hillside School. So if you'll just tell us about that.
Well, I came to Cushing. My father came up here and got a job with the refineries. Then went back to camp and brought his family, which was me and an older brother. I was about 18 months old, and then we had 3 more brothers joined us. And we lived out at Hillside School, a little rural building, and we'd walk to work, walk to school. And the boys, we all graduated from Hillside School. The boys played basketball. And I graduated salutatorian in 1946 from Hillside. I did write my first poem when I was in the 7th grade. The teacher said, "Oh, this is so good, I'm going to keep it." I could cry for it now to see it in my book. And I did some writing off and on during the year, but a lot of drawing. I have an art minor too. I went to Cushing High, and I was on the library staff and the older staff and the yearbook staff. And did the normal things young people do, sang in the choir.
Yeah.
I did make some contest on art. Not on writing, but I did belong to the Library Science Club while I was there. And married and then had a family. Then through an accident while my husband was killed in a home accident. And I started college at part-time at 39 on just a part-time basis to stay busy. And so then I began to look into it more and more and talk to the teachers at school, and they suggested I seek it full-time. So after 2 years of working as an aide, then I started the college full-time at the age of 41.
And where did you attend?
I attended OSU.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Well, we have a lot of OSU fans in this area. Mm-hmm. We sure do.
Right. And I loved every bit. I'd love to go back and be a child in the elementary. I would love to do that. I started drawing. I have some work I did when I was in the 3rd grade. And it looks like something a high school kid would do. I have it framed. And I was sewing little dolly dresses when I was 5.
Oh.
Well, that's what I became, was a home seamstress. Quite by accident. Because somebody knew I could sew. One made an Easter dress, so I made him an Easter dress. And then came somebody else and somebody else. And so that's what I was doing when my husband was killed in the accident. And so I went to college full-time. I have a minor in art, language arts, and history. And I also have a master's degree also.
So this process, when did you finish the process upon getting your master's? How old were you then?
44.
44.
44. Then I was add 8 years to that when I got the master's.
Wow.
I got a bachelor's at 44, 8. Then I had the master's degree. I wish I'd went for a doctorate. I could still do it.
I think you could.
I could do it.
I think you could,
I had a lot of
Margie.
physical problems. I couldn't walk the campus.
Yes.
But I could still mentally do it.
Now, recently you kind of got some good news. Got a letter in the mail. In fact, I'm holding the letter in my hand, but I would like for you to let everyone watching know what this letter is about. Pretty big deal.
Well, I am a Chickasaw native, and they do their own publishing company. They own a publishing company. They do only their Chickasaw people. And so I took them the first book, and they published it. They did the choosing. I did not get to choose the poetry or the artist, and it has been a big seller. It's on Amazon, eBay, Barnes & Noble, Hastings. And I asked the director for a list of where he sent them numerous contests. I would like to have a list, and he said, "Oh, it's okay." I said, "Well, did you get any call back on and say, thank you for the nice book?" "Well, no." So about 2 weeks ago, I had this telephone call from this lady, and she asked me who it was, and I told her. She told me who she was, and she said, "I won first place in a state contest in the poetry division. I would be receiving information in the mail and I would be going to a luncheon on June the 12th and a book signing following. And she'd already notified the publisher before she talked to me. And he already told her he would be there with books. So it's been a most exciting adventure.
And the
for
name
a
of
little
the
hillside
book?
girl.
Yeah.
It's Footprints to Whispering in the Wind. And so they wanted to change it to a garden book of verses.
Oh, okay.
And they said, "Why did you write?" I said, "I grew up loving nature. I love nature now. I look at the trees, the rocks, the colors." And so they said, "Well, how'd you get the title?" I said, "Well, as a Native American," I said, "we're always going to be here. Footsteps are gone, but footprints are left, and we are left." And they have enjoyed the poetry. I've been to quite a few signings, I think possibly 6. I went to 4 there in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And each year they have a reception again for any of the artists that want to come. So I received that up in the spring. And then this letter is from the Delta Kappa Gamma, and it's the division of the Creative Women of Oklahoma.
How wonderful is that?
Well, it's exciting.
It is exciting. So, when you get there, what do you think will be the neatest part of your experience?
She says something about a lot of news and publication.
So it'll be really getting out then about
Yes.
about what you've done.
I have donated books. I donated one to the Pawnee College and to the
Okay.
Sac and Fox Library. And to my first teacher, my college teacher, I sent her one. And she said, "I could not have been more proud to have been a teacher." And she said, "I'm proud of what you have done and what you've accomplished." Well, she had part of the thing encouraging me to go to college full-time at the age of 41.
Yeah, that's very impressive. To start college at that age is really amazing.
I graduated 3.85.
Wow. Wow.
But I gave it everything I had. I worked it all the time.
Now, how old were your children when you started college?
Well, my oldest son was 19. He was in the last draft. And my 17-year-old, he was helping his dad work on the car. And it's wonder it didn't get him.
Goodness.
And then my daughter was 15. I had the 10-year-old.
Well, so you had your hands full at home, even though the children were somewhat older. I'm thinking to myself to imagine going to college full-time with that type of load, and then the loss of a husband is really remarkable.
Well, it wasn't long till I had 2 in college. My son was in the military.
So how did your kids feel about mom being in college as well?
Well, they're thrilled that I have done this on my own at such an age. And of course, my parents are gone. I would love to tell them. My mom was half-blood Indian. I would love to show her that my name's in the Library of Congress.
Yeah, so that is something we do want to make sure and mention, is that your name is in the Library of Congress. Can you expand a little bit on that?
I sent President Obama a book.
All
Got a
right.
letter back from him. And I've been told that the gifts he gets are turned over to the Smithsonian.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll be there too.
Sure. Who wouldn't want to be in the Smithsonian, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, it's very, very exciting. You know, we've got Alumni Weekend coming up. I just got to ask you, what's your favorite memory of high school? Do you have a favorite memory?
No, I think I liked all of it.
Well, it's quite obvious you were involved in anything with art, photographing, or journalism, from what you listed off
I
earlier.
was the FHA vice president of that. I had 4 years of home economics. I was put in quite a few contests, did in art, but not in writing, but in art. But I wrote my first poem when I was in the 3rd grade. My teacher said, "Oh, this is so good, I'm going to keep it." And now I could cry for it. I would love to see it in my book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would love to tell her what I've done. At that time, I had her 4 years because that was the wartime.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't have any men in the school. And she was my 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teachers. Had her 4 years.
Well, I tell you, it's so exciting to get to visit with someone that has such a connection to Cushing, that's been here all their life. Because, you know, everybody has a story. And I love that we're able to sit down with people here locally in Cushing and let them kind of tell their story. Because Hillside, of course, is no longer with us, that school. We are getting ready to shut down Deep Rock School,
I know.
Harrison School, and then also Wilson School as well. So here again, some of the history that's just going to be in our memory and no more, just like Hillside School. But to be able to preserve moments like this and talk to people like you, Margie, is something that I really treasure, and I think the people in the community love as well.
Well, I belong to the local historical society, and I gave the lesson for 2 months. And I got 4 papers back in when Cushing turned 50 years old. I don't know where I got the papers.
Oh, wow.
And the first page was a complete exact copy of what it was in 1906, 1896. And it did have the schools, and so I cut out all the things on the school. I did find a picture of Cushing High. You know, they were first located where the civil building is now, the police and the firemen.
Right.
And it looked like just a common wood building. And I did remember as a little child seeing the next one. I remember seeing children walk down the steps.
Oh.
But it wasn't very long that school was gone.
And that is exactly what happens. You know, we're really, I hate to say, out of time, because I think I could spend a week with you visiting. Margie, thanks so much for joining me here in the Alumni Hall. And I just want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Very excited for you and your event on the 12th of June. All right, you're watching Donna and Friends. We'll be back.